Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome back to another video, and today's one is just a chill end of the year TBR video. I just thought with the end of the year fast approaching, I need to just make a list of the books I really want to get to, because you know, it's that time you got to prioritize them because you know you're not going to get to them all. So I just want to share that list with you. First of all, we have one of my most anticipated releases of the year that I haven't gotten to yet, shamefully, and that is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. I read two of her other books at the very beginning of the year and really fell in love with this author's work, particularly Empire of Sand. That is my favorite book of hers that I've read so far, also the first book I've read, and I really was looking forward to this. She writes fantasy romance. There tends to be a lot of politics involved, at least in her previous books, but what I'm really excited about this one is that it's sapphic and it's also a series. The other one, it is technically a duology, but we followed two different characters in each of the books, so it's a companion duology, whereas this is a series. I'm slightly nervous because I have heard from friends that they were quite disappointed by this, but I'm still hopeful. And I definitely really want to get to it before the end of the year. Next up, I have The Beast Warrior. This is the sequel to The Beast Player, which I read in September and I really enjoyed. We basically follow animal companions. It gave me this book a lot of well, the first book, sorry, not this one, a lot of Studio Ghibli vibes. It's very fairy tale-esque. I really enjoyed it, and this one I know takes place 10 years after the events of the first book, and I'm very excited to be back in this world and to see what's happened since the first book. Now, I really went on a marathon this year of Robin Hobb, and I have yet to read any more of her books since May or June, and I actually had a goal for myself this year to read all her books. So I have a little catching up to do. The next book I'm up to is Dragon Keeper, which is the first book in the Rainwild series, which is the only book of hers that's 4 books in the series. Usually that's all trilogies. I am hoping to finish this before October, but there's only about a week and a day left of October to go, so I don't know if I'll get the chance to get to this, although this is one of her shorter books, so maybe we shall see. So I want to read that, and then of her other books remaining, I'll tell you all of them so we can get a completed list here of what I have to read of hers. So I have Dragon Keeper, the one I just showed you. Then the second book in the series is Dragon of Haven, City of Dragons, and then Blood of Dragons. And then I'm going to be up to the final trilogy, which is Fool's Assassin, Fool's Quest, and Fool's Fate. So technically I've got 7 books, which maybe I can do, but I know the final trilogy, each book is a beast. So we shall see, but I really would love to complete all her works this year, or at least her works in the realm of the Elderlings series. That is the goal. Another author I had a goal for myself to read all her books is N.K. Jemisin. I haven't read, I don't think, a single N.K. Jemisin since January or February. I'm ashamed. This one I'm actually really ashamed of because I love her. So for N.K. Jemisin, I have The City We Became. I started this last year. I think I got almost 100 pages in, and then I stopped because I had to work on books for vlog. I think I'm going to be reading this soon for a vlog, so hopefully I will get this done soon. Well, I need to get this done soon. I really want to. It was originally going to be a buddy read as well when I read it last year, and I completely failed that buddy read. All I know about that book is it's set in New York, and New York's this avatar, so he's got New York has a soul, and something's happened to New York, and I think we're trying to save, well, the characters are trying to save New York in some way. I can't really remember. It was a very unique concept, very intriguing, that I need to continue. And then I have The Stone Sky, which is the final book in the Broken Earth trilogy. I can't believe I haven't read this. I'm going to try and read this. I don't know if I'm going to have to go back and reread the first 2 books. I'm hoping no, because time, not because I don't want to reread them. I'm going to give this a go and see how I go with remembering. But I love this trilogy. It's basically to do with these people who have a really close affinity to the earth, to the point where if they get quite emotional, they can trigger an earthquake or something. They are really feared in society, and a lot of the book is to do with like the treatment of them, like the mistreatment of them, and how they have to keep their identity secret, but how that's so difficult to do because their abilities are literally tied to their emotions. So like, how do you keep your abilities in check when sometimes it's difficult to keep your emotions in check, you know? This one, The Killing Moon, is one that I'm so excited. Like, it's probably the book I want to pick up like next out of all of N.K. Jemisin's works, just because I love the concept of the story, that I just really need to like know if I'm going to love the execution. Basically, this follows like a cult of assassins, and just the combination of like religion and assassins, and like it's also a desert setting. I freaking love desert settings. I think I'm gonna love this. It just has so many elements. I think I have to love this, you know. I do have a video planned where I'm going to read this book, so hopefully I get that done in November is the plan. I really want to read this one. And last but certainly not least of the N.K. Jemisin I own is the Inheritance Trilogy. Oh, I completely forgot to say, like, since I said I want to read all her published books, apart from her short story collection this year, I would love to also read the sequel to this, because this one is a duology. So I think it's called The Shadowed Sun, I believe. And yes, the Inheritance Trilogy is another one I need to get to. This is like huge, but this is 3 books in one. So, you know, I just know this has to do with gods. That's all I know about this book. I literally just bought it because I'm like, I want to read all of N.K. Jemisin's stuff because I've loved what I've read of her so far, and I don't know much more about this book. But yeah, I'm gonna read it, and I think that's all her books. If it's not, Editing Nicole will suss this out and insert something here if there are more of her books I need to read. Okay, next up I have The Unbroken. This is another 2021 release that I was really looking forward to, and was kindly gifted this for my birthday, and I just still haven't gotten to it. I know this is like a military warfare fantasy set in the desert, and I believe it's also sapphic. Those were sort of all the elements of this book that piqued my interest, so I just am really looking forward to this one. I have heard good things from my friends who have read it as well, so like, it needs to happen. It needs to happen. And I brought this for myself like back in June and never got to it, and that is The Wolf of Arenaro. This is book 1 in the Bitch Queen series. I got this primarily because the main character we follow this is like an older woman who is a mother, and I really enjoy fantasy these days that have like MILF characters. I think it's just so refreshing. It's just so refreshing to follow these women who are older, living their lives in this fantasy world where so often, especially in like older fantasy, the women who are those ages are just depicted as like mothers and wives who are in the background, and they really don't have much relevance or significance to the story, whereas we have like warrior mothers. Like, it's just so cool to me. So I literally just wanted to read the book in this series for that reason. Also, again, my friends love it, so you know, I always want to read what my friends love. I also really want to pick up Blood of Promise. I forgot I actually owned this book, and then when I moved recently and I was unpacking my books, I found it. This is a military warfare one again, and I love military warfare, and I've heard really good things about this one, so I really want to give it a go before the end of the year. I'm going to go through my audiobooks and tell you which ones from there I really want to read as well, because there's a few. First of all, I really want to read Ace of Spades. I just downloaded this the other day because it's part of the Audible like catalog plus thing they're doing at the moment, and I've heard nothing but incredible things. I know it's got to do with a lot of like gambling and like casinos. I think there's a heist, and I know that there's mafia families in this book, and that is literally what sold me. I love mafia families. I've done a whole vlog on mafia family books, and I did not know this one had mafia families because I would have included it if I knew. So I really need to read this one. I've heard incredible things from people I trust as well. Another author actually I really want to try and read the rest of his books of before the end of the year. I don't know if this will happen. This might not happen. I'm going to put him on here anyway because I really want this to happen, but that is Keiko Higashino. I have been loving his books since I've read Devotion to Suspect X. I am currently in the middle of Under the Midnight Sun, kind of going quite slowly with that one, but I really want to finish that. I want to read Malice, which is another detective series of his, I believe. I also want to read the sequel to that, Newcomer. It's somewhere, but I own The Miracles of Namiya General Store, and I've heard incredible things about that. I was supposed to buddy read that a couple months ago and I didn't, but I definitely want to try and read that before the end of the year. He also has a book not coming out in December but being translated and published in English in December, which is a sequel to his Detective Galileo books that I have been reading this year. I've read all of them. So when I found out just literally yesterday that he has another book in that series coming out in English, I was so freaking excited. It comes out in December. I definitely plan to read that before the end of the year, and I think I'll have no trouble because all these books in that series I've read so quickly. And I think that's it for all these books that are currently published in English. Another series I really want to reread and then read the latest sequel for is the Graceling series. I loved this series when I was like 17, and I've been meaning basically all year to reread the original trilogy and read the latest book, Winter Keep, which I just have not done. I loved this series. I loved the magic. I loved the characters, and I've just kind of put it off because I'm kind of scared. For so many reasons, I'm kind of scared. I'm scared that I'm not going to love it as much as I did when I was 17 and it's going to like ruin my memory of it, but I'm also scared that I am going to really enjoy the original trilogy and then really not like the sequel because, you know, it was originally a finished trilogy and now the authors decided to continue on. So a lot of emotions there, but I just want to know as well. I want to know and I want to go back and I want to enjoy it. And the last book I'm going to add is a book coming out in November, which is Jade Legacy. I am kind of hoping that I have time to reread Jade City and Jade War before I get to the final book when it comes out, Jade Legacy. We shall see, but I definitely really want to prioritize reading Jade Legacy when it comes out. I am so excited. I've loved this series. This is again a mafia family one. It's set in this like fictional Asian island where these people use jade. They like wear jade jewelry and such, and the jade gives them magical sort of, not magical abilities, but they give them abilities in terms of like extra strength and, you know, harness their senses, and I like it. It is fantastic. I love the characters and I'm scared to see how this ends. I know there's like a big time skip as well at some point in this book, so I'm very interested to see how that is handled and what happens with the time skip. Yeah, even though I have been reading like other genres this year, I decided to mostly include fantasy on this list because I really haven't read much fantasy and I want to kind of redeem myself for the end of the year. And I'm leaving the list here even though there's definitely more books I am keen to read before the end of the year. I just know it's gonna get too unrealistic if I keep adding the books, you know? So yeah, that's it from me today. Let me know what is at the top of your TBR to read before 2022. It's really crazy how quickly next year's coming around. And I hope that you're well. I hope that you're enjoying whatever you're currently reading, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.